and it's going to preserve jobs. So stop with the tariffs. It's the leverage that we need to protect them. No. I'm glad he did what he did with Canada because
you have enough money to survive
No, that's not the...
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
When not golfing, Donald Trump likes to handle the recent downturn in the market like every working class American by owning a brand new Tesla. Customized for the 47th president, this Tesla features always cracked windows for efficient odor minimization. And of course, it has your perfectly pre-programmed self-drive to take you directly to and from the clubhouse. Pick yours up today at the White House.
I just wanted to make a statement. I'm going to buy one. Now, here's the bad news. I'm not allowed to drive because I haven't driven a car in a long time, and I love to drive cars. But I'm going to have it at the White House, and I'm going to let my staff use it. I'm going to let people at the place use it. And they all are all excited about that. I'm not allowed to use it. Can you believe it? One of my great things in life is that I can, I like to drive cars, but I'm not allowed to.
That's right. After Donald Trump's hard-headed Tesla stunt alongside Elon Musk, while millions of Americans are just watching their 401ks fall off a cliff, something unusual happened over at Fox News. Well, the reporters outside the usual voice of sanity, Jessica Tarlov, and we'll get to her comment in a minute, dared to question Donald Trump's decision-making.
President Trump buying a new car, while there are some folks who will see this clip at home and they are struggling with their retirement accounts down at the moment, uncertainty about work ahead.
Well, I think they're going to do great. I think our country had to do this. We had to go and do this. They've taken away, other countries have taken away our business. They've taken away our jobs. I did it initially very strongly against, as you know, China and some others in the first term. And it was a very successful term. We had no inflation. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. And then we had COVID.
This is a White House that came in trying to get federal workers to retire by the hundreds of thousands. But it's tough to make the argument that you should retire if your retirement accounts are getting throttled, which is what is happening right now.
First, as Trump Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt blamed the Biden administration for what she declared was an economic disaster. Let me check. Biden isn't in office, right? This, of course, being despite the fact that Biden oversaw a soft economic landing while in office and a booming economy. But she continued by failing to provide, well, any answers to questions posed on the market response to Donald Trump's tariffs.
When President Trump last addressed the BRT when he was on the campaign trail, his big push was on tax cuts. He's going there today as he's proposing tax hikes in the form of tariffs. I'm curious why he's prioritizing that over the tax cuts.
He's actually not implementing tax hikes. Tariffs are a tax hike on foreign countries that, again, have been ripping us off. Tariffs are a tax cut for the American people. And the president is a staunch advocate of tax cuts. As you know, he campaigned on no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, no taxes on Social Security benefits. He is committed to all three of those things, and he expects Congress to pass them later this year.
I'm sorry, have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have. They don't get charged on foreign companies, they get charged on the importers.
And ultimately, when we have fair and balanced trade, which the American people have not seen in decades, as I said at the beginning, revenues will stay here, wages will go up, and our country will be made wealthy again. And I think it's insulting that you're trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made. I'm now regret giving a question to the Associated Press.
Even the strongest allies of the president don't like these tariffs. They might think it's possible to use them at smaller levels, 5%, 10%, but the tariff whiplash is destroying us. You look at the market tanking, and I thought Peter Doocy had a great point earlier on today, our very own Peter Doocy, where he said they want federal workers to take the buyout. They want them to retire, but they're sinking their retirement accounts. And Caroline Leavitt is standing up there at the podium, and she's just either she doesn't know how a tariff works or she's lying to the people. She said tariffs are a tax hike on foreign countries and a tax cut for the American people. And then a reporter, I think from the AP, so they got back in the room, said, have you ever paid a tariff? I have. They don't get charged on foreign countries. And then she went Trumpian. She goes, I think it's insulting that you're trying to test my knowledge on economics. I'll test your knowledge on economics, Jesse. Go. Are tariffs a tax on the American consumer?
If you have a tariff on a product, Jessica,
what
that does is it makes American workers richer. because then you buy American and you bring American plants back to this country.
Listen,
that's the point. And every president has done it. And it's usually resulted in bringing jobs back.
Did you know that Richard Nixon of an American presidency for the market since 2000?
And the expected friendly fire between Fox and Trump HQ was thrown out the window as Peter Ducci asked her this question.
The Dow dropping and dropping and dropping is a period of transition. You're sure nobody here at the White House shorted the Dow?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. But is there any concern here that it's going to be harder to ask certain federal workers to retire if they look at their retirement accounts and they're getting robbed every day?
Well, I'm glad you brought up workers, because that's exactly who President Trump is looking out for with his America First trade policy and his America First economic agenda. And if you look at, there's great indication to be optimistic about where the economy stands. And the American people, investors, CEOs, small business owners, but most importantly, workers, should bet on President Trump, because his tariff policies, what he envisions is reciprocity, fair trade practices where American workers are put first and are no longer ripped off by foreign countries.
And as the subject was brought up on Fox News The 5, Jessica Tarlov, as she usually does, offered this dose of reality.
And it's usually resulted in bringing jobs back.
Did you know that Richard Nixon of an American presidency for the market since 2009? And 2009 we were in a recession.
Began the pickup truck industry in this country because of a tariff on the Europeans. Did you know that Reagan slapped tariffs on Japan, ended up triggering a semiconductor renaissance in this country?
On Canada.
He is protecting American industries. Why do we rely on Canada for energy anyway? And that's part of the problem.
Do you think this is the right way?
We need to bring manufacturing into this country, and countries are buckling. Big corporations are buckling. They're talking about coming here because they don't want to be taxed. This is going to benefit the American worker, American manufacturing, and domestic production.
And all of this comes as Donald Trump did absolutely nothing to ease concerns that the market will fall further through the week, as we see more and more investors continue to sell off. This as a result of Trump's on-again, off-again tariff policy, as well as his unwillingness to reassure investors that there won't be a recession.
The president has a history of paying close attention to the markets, touting them when they're up as a gauge of his political success, often ignoring them when they're full of red, even when amplified by his own words.
Are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time.
The president there preparing Americans potentially to wait a little bit as he was hesitant to rule out any possibility that his own policies could trigger a recession.
Something he was given ample opportunity to clarify, but never did. And the result being what is par for the course during a Trump presidency: turmoil and uncertainty, all of which, when pointed out on Fox News by Jessica Tarlov, seemed to strike a nerve or two with her co-hosts.
Yeah, it's not just whipping. They're going to be a no on this bill. There's no reason for Democrats to support a continuing resolution that they, first of all, weren't consulted on at all. No one came to say, hey, what do you think about these things? And then they would have heard, hey, we are not okay with cutting nutritional assistance. We're not okay with cutting veterans benefits, Social Security benefits, Alzheimer's research. So there's no reason that Democrats should bail out the Republicans. We've been hearing since the election that this is the largest mandate in American history. So prove it. And Guy may very well be right that Speaker Johnson can get this over the hurdle, and then they have a whole year to figure out how to govern, how to get their spending bill through that's going to cut, what, $880 billion from Medicaid. So time will tell on that, but we're not here to bail them out.
I hope Jessica is totally successful. I hope she's completely successful.
Thanks, Ben.
And I hope that this goes the way that you want, because I can't wait to see what DOJ will do when the government is shut down. If the government shuts down, the amount of things that you can do that where the traps just open up, where they can just cut even further than they already are, you'll find out, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
How many people are enough for you to get fired? What's your goal? How many tens of thousands do you want just fired?
Can we start with half? Is that a reasonable number? No, look, I think that you are making I think you're making I think that you are making a monumentally stupid decision in terms of whipping in this direction. And I think that Chuck Schumer is, quite correctly trying to prevent Hakeem Jeffries from making a huge mistake that would only benefit those of us who think that the government is just full of pork to be cut and that bureaucrats absolutely should be sent packing.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.